Dari 6 ke 3, apa-apa hal berlaku sekarang ini. Over. I left here in 1966 after confrontation had finished because the Border Scouts were going to be disbanded, and obviously now it was Malaysia. There was no point in my remaining as an assistant superintendent in the Sarawak Constabulary.
Ada macam kami pakai Border Scout tu ada senjata kami, 6 orang kami jalannya dah.
3 daripada 3 ke 6 DHQ, kami balik, tidak ada apa yang berlaku, kami datang dengan selamat. Sampai itu saja.
I came first to Borneo, actually Brunei, Temburong district in 1964. It's a long time ago, with a Gurkha battalion during the Brunei Revolt. While I was here, I was asked to join the Border Scouts in Sarawak by Dato Sir Claude Fenner, and I was transferred for 3 years and then spent those 3 years in Limbang, but really walking in the Ulu Sungai Limbang and the Ulu Trusan area, what I call the tri-border area on Pasir, Kalimantan and Sarawak. We've got to remember 1964 was the transition period between colonial government and the formation of Malaysia. The systems in Limbang then, the old 5th Division, were very simple. There was very little infrastructure. The district officer walked to Bakelalan 5 days through the jungle. There was really nothing in this area except the jungle and the local people that lived here. Of course, Bakelalan was famous for its rice, the Adan rice. So it had something to live on with the kubah that it produced and exported as well. But really there wasn't much happening here. Confrontation was here during that stage, so I spent most of my time upriver in the Ulu Sungai Limbang and Ulu Trusan and Bakelalan with the Border Scouts that were here, trying to keep the Indonesians out. Of course, the British put it was a Gurkha company in Longlangai and Bakelalan to protect the border in this area. It conducted several operations along the border, and to that, because the maps were so bad, they would take border scouts with them to show them where things were. They knew the terrain. Coincidentally, a lot of those border scouts had relatives on the other side of the border. They were both Mur, Lumbawan. So there was some interchange between them during that process. But in general terms, the Gurkhas kept Indonesian forces out of this area, except on one or two famous occasions when they crossed the border here. But the border scouts spent most of their time in plain clothes, just watching the border and reporting whenever there were risks to security in this area. They would report to the Gurkhas, they would report to Special Branch, and they would report to a British Field Intelligence officer that was based up here at that time. In general terms, it was very successful. We knew what was going on in this area, and we knew what was going on in Lumbawang. And the Indonesian regular forces kept their distance except for one or two occasions. Bakelalan, the valley, and Bakelalan, you've got to remember, is not a place, it's a valley. Bam meaning literally the valley, and Kalalan is the river, the sungai here, is primarily a rice producing area, and a very good rice producing area. The Sarawak paddy highland rice gets better pricing than other rice. It's exported, and rather like the barrio rice, it's a very high quality. So if you earn money here, that's how you earn it, from that and from the kebab, the water buffalo. But there isn't really much else here. We now have a road from Lawas, which we didn't have before, and that provides four-wheel drive connection with, let's call it, civilization. And we have a good airport here now with twin otter aircraft 3 times a week. So it's relatively easy now to get in and out of here, whereas before it wasn't. The major difference here now is going to be what happens in future. Kalimantan is developing very rapidly. Bakelalan provides one of the few points where it's easy to cross the border, one of the few access points into Kalimantan. And I think that that will gain in importance. And if people, when they move the capital from Jakarta to Kalimantan, it will become more important. And we'll see traffic, trade between Bakelalan and the Lawas area grow with Kalimantan. It's inevitable. And so we need better roads and we need better infrastructure here to support that. But I think that will come as people realize how important this area will be in future to the Sarawak side and to the Kalimantan side.
Nama saya Milo Tegar, Kampung Penangkelalan sebagai ketua kampung. Sudah tua, sudah berhenti. Masih saya muda dulu, saya jadi ikut tentera Buddha Scout, nama Buddha Scout, ikut Geroka. Geroka bawa kami pergi hutan, pergi kami. Ikut dia orang, tapi kami bawa Buddha Scout bawa peluru. Kalau dia tentera Geroka tembak elon, habis peluru, dia panggil kami hantar peluru. Macam tu. Itu saja kami ikut cakap dia punya tuan dulu. Tugas kami dulu Buddha Scout jalan sempadan. Jalan sempadan tengok orang tentera lah. Kalau ada tentera elon, kami kasih tahu sama tentera Geroka. Itu Geroka pergi sana, tarik dia. Orang bertembak di situ lah. Kami jadi mata-mata saya. Kami pakai ada macam kami pakai Buddha Scout tu ada senjata kami. 6 orang kami jalan-jalan. Kalau dia orang ni tembak kami, boleh kami tembak. Tidak, kadang-kadang dia orang takut. Saya tengok jauh, oh Buddha Scout dah. Lari dia orang. Dari sana kan ikut sempadan, sampai itu sempadan Elon pergi sana. Ada jalan pergi situ, ada sana. Dia selalu hantam dari sempadan tu, dia punya mortar. Namanya mortar bom. Dari sana, tidak sampai di sini. Kita punya tentera kita, Gurkha sama orang putih, kalau dihantam sini, sampai sempadan. Banyak orang mati kena itu. Itu kami sudah belajar. Dia orang antur kami jalan di sempadan kita Sarawak ni. Tentera Indonesia imbus kami di sempadan sana. Dia orang tembak kami. Itu Gurkha tembak, pandai itu Gurkha, bangsa Gurkha tembak. Dari orang lokal-lokal, kita Gurkha sama kami Buddha Scout bagus. Tapi ada dia orang mati lah. Sempadan kita sana. Itu Gurkha hadapan. Tentera Gurkha, dia orang sebanyak kami 30 orang dia orang Gurkha. Kami 6 Buddha Scout 6 orang. Kami bawa peluru, angkat peluru. Kalau peluru Gurkha habis, dia panggil kami hantar peluru. Kami dulu jalan sempadan. Sudah itu dia tebus masuk ke kita orang Sarawak ni. Di Long Merarap, tentera Gurkha jumpa dia orang, hantam habis dia mati. Dulu.
This area is different from the rest of Sarawak, and it's strange that many people in the Kuching area, dare I call it the civilized part of Sarawak, don't know the northeast area, the tri-border area, and the people who live here, except those who move to Kuching and become quite prominent. They're well known, but very few Sarawakians come to this area. With the Border Scouts, that seems to follow. They've been, in my view, neglected. They are not recognised officially anywhere as providers of security during confrontation or thereafter. There's no official recognition. They don't get medals. And what we're doing here now is building a memorial in Langai, where the Gurkha camp was, which will focus more on the local people than the outsiders who came to direct them. So, for instance, while Tom Harrison and Eric Edmeades came here in 1945, what we're going to be recording is the efforts of the Borneo Interior Force, which was what they were called, who were the local Murt community then, 200 and more, 300, that joined Harrison to fight the Japanese and secured this area down to Laos and Trusan and parts of Brunei before the Australians landed. Very few people know that this area was not controlled by the Japanese before the Japanese left, but by the Murt and Iban communities in the Limbang and Laos. They were very successful as guerrilla fighters. The British recognised them, but we need to, I think, do a little more than that. So we're building a memorial now. The community here is building a memorial in Bakelalan. Bakelalan was the place where the last major group, the largest group of Japanese, surrendered in Sarawak in 1945, 3 months after the end of the war. And they surrendered in Bakelalan, 556 of them, to Orangulu. Now that's not recorded well enough for people to know, and we need somehow to put a label on that. Similarly with confrontation, the operations here, the Border Scout operations here, were very successful. It was very quiet, which was the result of their success. And the context we had and the people we had that went across the border to find out information. Dawatsiga was one, very famous because he was both with Tom Harrison and with the Border Scouts. A woman, Mikau Ganang, who was then 18 years old, who was a grey list Border Scout here. The Uludressa, who was also employed as a Border Scout, would all go across the border, find out what we needed to know, and come back and report it. The result of that was we had a good information network here based on the Border Scouts. People like Matthias Liang, who lives was a Border Scout here. He's still alive, and a few others. But unfortunately, those from the Second World War and many of the Border Scouts are no longer alive.
Saya nama Matius Padan alias Matius Planuk dari Kampung Longlangai, Bakelalan. Saya sekarang ini kerja sebagai ketua kampung di Longlangai, Bakelalan. Saya mula-mula menjadi sebagai Border Scout. Border Scout masa konfrontasi Malaysia dengan Indonesia masa itu. Kami kerja sebagai Border Scout pada training di Long Semadu, diajar oleh guru-guru karena masa itu Indonesia cepat masuk di kawasan di kita Sarawak. Itu makanya mereka pendekkan training kami 2 minggu saja. Pas itu kami balik dari sana, kerja kami 2 peranan. Peranan yang pertama sebagai Border Scout, kami pergi patrol pakai itu civilian, pakai senapang patah, macam pergi buru. Apabila kami jumpa atau musuh di sana, kami lekas report sama pegawai askar kita dan Gruka di tempat di camp di Bakelalan masa itu. Peranan yang kedua, apabila mereka mau memakai kami, kalau mereka pergi patrol, dan pergi fighting dengan TNI Indonesia masa itu, kami diubah lagi peranan kami. Kami memakai uniform dan diberi satu senjata perang dan ikut mereka dan yaitu senjata rifle Mark 5 masa itu. Selepas kami training yang pertama kali di Long Semadu itu, kami dibekalkan dengan radio masa itu di Long Semadu, di Long Semadu, ada di Long Sokang, dibekalkan dengan radio. Apabila apa-apa yang kami laporkan, masa kami pergi patrol, kami laporkan headquarters supaya memberitahu mereka kami pergi patrol. dan balik dengan selamat. Apa-apa keadaan yang kami sudah tahu, kami lapor ke DHQ. Mereka pun tahu lah. Panggilan masa itu dia menggunakan di Bakelalan ada satu radio di sana, dia call sign 3. Kalau di Limbang saya pikir dia call sign 6. Di Los Madu saya tidak, mungkin dia call sign 1, lupa sudah, lama sudah. Di Long Sokang call sign 2. Hello, sick from daripada call sign 3. Hello 2, call sign 2. Macam itu kami punya call sign masa itulah. Dia panggil, ini daripada call sign 6, apa hal, apa berita, apa laporan. Dia cakap itu macam, ini dari pihak call sign 3, yang ini baik, kami balik dari petrol tidak apa-apa, kami datang dengan selamat. Macam itu. Di mana grade reference-nya kami buat ya, di grade reference di masa itu kami buat grade reference dia yang ini supaya mereka tahu di mana tempat itu, dekat border sana kah, di mana. Kami lapor sebelum kami jalan, kami laporkan di mana tempat itu, grade reference dia ini di tempat mana dia, sempadan mana dia, tempat dia, dah kami laporkan. Apabila kami balik, kami datang dari petrol, dari grade reference ini tidak ada apa-apa yang berlaku, supaya mereka tahu. 3 daripada 3 ke 6 DHQ, kami balik tidak ada apa yang berlaku, kami datang dengan selamat. Sampai itu saja. Kalau kami mau pergi, kami laporkan kami petrol di kawasan grade reference yang ini, kami laporkan itu supaya mereka tahu. Apabila kami balik nanti begitu juga, supaya di kawasan itu tidak ada apa-apa lah.
Really sad to see them go. There are still a few arrive. There are more in Long Samado and even in the lowest area, the lower Trusan area. I don't know now how many, but I do have a list somewhere of the survivor. But somebody needs to recognize their contribution to the establishment of Malaysia, because here it was significant.